You know what? They still need help, and they need help from the Carolina Hurricanes of all teams, but the Washington Capitals are holding up their end of the bargain here. Back-to-back games against the division rival Pittsburgh Penguins in what could potentially be the last ever matchup in Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby's careers. And the Washington Capitals, desperate for standings points, clinging to their playoff hopes. They needed to win both games, and they won both games by a combined score of 9-3. First up, the first game. In Pittsburgh on Saturday, the Washington Capitals win 6-3, scoring a touchdown in a game that was really a showcase of how they are turning their roster over to these new young guns. Ilya Protas, the younger 19-year-old brother of Capitals forward Alexei Protas, who we obviously already know very well and love very well. Ilya Protas, right? Playing in his second career NHL game. 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points in this must-win game against division rival Pittsburgh. For the Washington Capitals goes Ilya Protas. 1 goal, 2 assists. I will repeat, he is 19 years old, playing in just his second career National Hockey League game. 3 points in this game. Ryan Leonard, how does 2 goals sound? Cole Hutson, how does 2 assists sound? Those 2 assists were Cole Hutson's 9th and 10th points already in the National Hockey League, by the way. 9th and 10th points for Cole Hutson. He has only played in a dozen NHL games. So yeah, the kids are all right, and the future looking very bright for the Washington Capitals. The online hockey world, hockey Twitter, if you will, even though it's called X now, hockey Twitter was aglow about these Washington Capitals kids after this game. So let's get into it in detail, babes. So no scoring in the first period. Second period, though, Alexei Protas. Alexei, he has got his 25th goal of this season already, and it is assisted on by his younger brother, the 19-year-old Ilya Protas, on the primary assist. The only assist on this goal puts the Caps up 1-0. And it was a beautiful play by Ilya Protas, by the way. First of all, the play starts with Alexei Protas keeping a puck in just inside of the offensive blue line. He makes a steal there. The Penguins, they turn it over. Alexei Protas with the steal, like I said, just inside of the offensive blue line there. And so he gets that puck back for the Caps, feeds it to his younger brother, Ilya Protas, and Ilya goes around the net, wraps it around the net, and finds Alexei backdoor wide open, sneaking in for the wide open net. So 19-year-old Ilya feeding it to 25-year-old Alexei, backdoor, like I said, for the empty net. Essentially, tap in, puts the Caps up 1-0 on, like I said, Alexei Protas' 25th goal of this season already. That is back-to-back now, 25-plus goal seasons for him. Then our old friend Anthony Mantha ties it up for the Penguins 1-1. And it was a bit of a lucky goal for Anthony Mantha here, as this puck, it deflects in off of the pants of a Washington Capitals defender. Typical Pittsburgh Penguins goal versus the Caps. We have seen that many times. We are used to it. And we are also used to the shots on goal and score discrepancies here, as this looks, frankly, just like so many playoff games in the past between the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins, with the Caps outshooting the Penguins 13-3 here, and yet the score is 1-1. But not to worry, because Capitals rookie Ryan Leonard, he puts the Caps back up on top here with his first goal of this game and his 19th goal of this season already for, like I said, the rookie forward for the Washington Capitals. And he was not done yet in this game, but we will get to that. So his first of this game, his 19th of this season already, puts the Caps back on top here 2-1. And it was Connor McMichael on the secondary assist and Pierre-Luc Dubois with the very nice pass on the primary assist here. And Ryan Leonard, this was a bit of an interesting goal here, because it did for a second look like the Penguins netminder was able to save this one using his glove hand. But Ryan Leonard, he knew that this puck was across the goal line right away. He pointed right. He actually made the motion that they do in baseball. If you watch the MLB, like he did the headset, like challenge it. get them to look at this one, did Ryan Leonard, because he knew that this puck crossed the goal line. He knew that the glove was well behind the goal line here. They looked at it and he was right. It was completely across the goal line, and this goal is good for Ryan Leonard and the Caps, 2-1. Then just a couple of minutes after that one, Pittsburgh Penguins fans are going to love hearing this. Back-to-back 30-plus goal scorer Tom Wilson is on the board yet again. Scored 30-plus last season, and this is his 30th goal of this season here already for Tom Wilson. And it was assisted by, on the primary assist, Little Pro Ilya Protas, and on the secondary assist, Big Pro Alexei Protas. And again, this was another Pittsburgh Penguins turnover caused by this 700-pound line of the Washington Capitals on the forecheck, as it is the 19-year-old Ilya Protas in on the forecheck hard there, pressure, right? And then his brother comes in, Alexei does, and steals this puck off of the pens. So the two-man heavy forecheck there for the Caps, and that is 13 feet worth of forecheck there, combined between the two brothers, Ilya and Alexei. So honestly, I don't even blame the Pittsburgh Penguins for turning that puck over, as that is pretty hard to handle there. And then, yeah, Ilya feeds Alexei, right? Alexei gives it back to him, give and go there between the two brothers. A beautiful play. These two have so much chemistry already. It is insane. I mean, obviously, right? They're brothers. But yeah, the give and go here between the two brothers, and Ilya Protas, the 19-year-old, you love to see this. He takes this puck to the net so hard here, trying to score a goal. And he creates a rebound, right, for Tom Wilson to just tap into the net, essentially. So beautiful, hard work, hard forecheck goal here for that line yet again. They have only played just a few games together, and they've been absolutely unfucking believable here. Caps up 3-1. And yeah, this 700-pound line here for the Washington Capitals, opponents had better hope that the Caps do not get into the playoffs now that they have this line, because holy, they are downright scary out there and very hard, if not impossible, to contain on the forecheck, as you just saw yet again here. And they are definitely a playoff style line. Can't wait to watch them for the next decade with this team. What a time to be a Capitals fan. They're literally going to dominate the NHL for the next decade. And by the way, Tom Wilson being the little guy on that line is objectively hilarious. And yeah, like I said, Ilya Protas has now played just 3 games in the National Hockey League, right? But he and his brother Alexei have so much chemistry already. But the instant chemistry makes sense, right? Because they did come out of the same womb. So we are halfway through the game, right? And the shots on goal are 19-4 in favor of the Washington Capitals, and the score is 3-1 Caps. But then, despite the shot discrepancy, Noel Acciari, he scores for the Penguins, and that cuts the Caps lead to 3-2. So nervous time a little bit, right? Because the Caps do need to win this game, but it was only nervous time for exactly 11 seconds thanks to Ryan Leonard. And really thanks to Cole Hutson as well, because yeesh, off of the face-off right after the Pittsburgh Penguins goal, Justin Sordiff, Ryan Leonard, and Cole Hutson, they play give and go here. And Cole Hutson, he eventually gets this puck, takes it up the middle here, and he walks the Pittsburgh Penguins defender here. Beautiful move. This kid has got so many moves, you can't even keep track of them. Nobody knows what he is going to do out there. He is just so much fun to watch. He's got a whole bag of tricks, and we are seeing some of it here for sure. And yeah, pulls out another great move on this goal. Like I said, completely walks the Pittsburgh Penguins defender to come right down Broadway there, gets a great opportunity, a great shot on net there, and it creates a rebound again here for Ryan Leonard. And you love this by Ryan Leonard, right? Crashing the net hard here, as he does for his second goal of this game and his 20th goal of this season already, the rookie Ryan Leonard with a 20-goal season. First Washington Capitals rookie to score 20 goals in his rookie season since Alex Ovechkin did it. Alex Ovechkin, of course, scoring 52 in his rookie season. He is an absolute freak. But yeah, Ryan Leonard, the first Washington Capitals rookie with a 20-goal season since none other than the grade 8 Alex Ovechkin. So Ryan Leonard's 20th of the season, a assisted by Cole Hutson, obviously, on the primary assist, and by Justin Sourdif as well on the secondary assist, restores the 2-goal lead here for the Caps quickly here after the Penguins had just cut it to 3-2. Ryan Leonard here puts the Caps up back up by 2 again, 4-2 here, and this is just an incredibly important goal here to just restore that 2-goal lead and take some of the pressure off, right, of the backs of the Washington Capitals, because like I said, they really needed to win this game. So a huge goal here by Ryan Leonard, but then before the end of the second period, it is Kevin Hayes for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that cuts the Caps lead back again to a 1-goal lead, 4-3 now. So nervous time again here for the Washington Capitals, and that is how the second period would end. The shots on goal, by the way, when it was just a 4-3 lead for the Caps, the shots on goal were 26-8 in favor of the Washington Capitals. But again, nervous time. It doesn't last long here for the Caps, as in the third period, the Washington Capitals on a power play now, and it is Cole Hutson up top there, playing catch with Dylan Strome. Strome gives it back to Hutson. Hutson gets the shot through from the point. So important there. A great shot by Cole Hutson. And again, he's shooting for a rebound here with a man in front. Creates a perfect rebound there for the 19-year-old rookie, Ilya Protas, playing in just, like I said, his second NHL game here. And Ilya Protas, he picks up this rebound perfectly and tucks it 5-hole. A beautiful, patient move here, actually, by Ilya Protas, as he didn't just get this puck and fire it right away, like right into the goaltender's belly or chest, like we see so often with so many players around this league. But instead, he holds on to it for just an extra half second there to allow for the legs of the goaltender to open up a bit, allow a second there for that goaltender to flinch a bit, right? The goaltender makes the first move, he opens up a little bit, and it is at that point that Ilya Protas tucks it 5-hole. So his first career National Hockey League goal in just his second National Hockey League game, and it is a huge one here in the third period to put the Caps back up again by 2 goals, 5-3 this time. And Cole Hutson and Dylan Strome with the assists on that goal. Then Pittsburgh Penguins forward Anthony Mantha, the ex-Washington Capital, he gets given a penalty shot here, and Logan Thompson says, absolutely fucking not. No, you don't. LT saves the penalty shot, and so it remains 5-3. And that sets up the Pittsburgh Penguins pulling their goaltender at the end of this game here to try to get a goal to get closer to the Caps on the scoreboard. They pull their netminder here, and that sets up Alex Ovechkin to put this one into the empty net to ice this game. And Ovi, to his credit, he did try a couple of times to give this goal to Tom Wilson instead, but Tom Wilson was having none of it, kept giving it back to him until eventually Ovi had to just put this thing into the open cage, right? So Alex Ovechkin on the empty net, his 32nd goal of this season already, folks, at 40 years of age, obviously. Just an incredible season for a 40-year-old in the National Hockey League. And that is, of course, the 929th goal of his National Hockey League career, just taking that all-time goals record further and further and further and further and further away from anyone ever catching it, right? So 929 goals here now in the National Hockey League career of Alex Ovechkin. And yeah, that is his 32nd goal of this season already, assisted by Tom Wilson on the primary assist. That is the only assist on this goal, puts the Caps up 6-3. And that, folks, is how the game would end. That would be your final score, the Washington Capitals with the 6-3 touchdown win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Should mention as well, Pierre-Luc Dubois and Rasmus Sandin both injured for the Washington Capitals in this game. That is no bueno. And the Washington Capitals outshot the Pittsburgh Penguins 31-12 in this game, which is great, right? Because this was, of course, a back-to-back set. And so this was a relatively, nice and easy game for Logan Thompson, nice light workload. And so that, of course, would allow Logan Thompson to play as well in the second half of this back-to-back for the Caps. And that, of course, is obviously so important with the Washington Capitals needing every single standings point that they can get. They cannot afford to lose any games at this point. And so for Logan Thompson being able to play here in both halves of this back-to-back set. Super, super important for the Washington Capitals in their attempt here, their last push here to try and get into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So a great job by the team in front of him as well to allow just the 12 shots on goal in this game. And before we move on to the second half of the back-to-back here, which was, of course, the game on Sunday in Washington at Capital One Arena, I have to take a second here to just shout out the Pittsburgh Penguins fans in Pittsburgh. Honestly, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, because they did something incredible here in this game. It was super classy of them, and, you know, just showing great respect for the grade 8 Alexander Ovechkin in what could potentially be his last ever game played in Pittsburgh. This team, these two players, you know, particularly in Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby, they've had such a great rivalry over the years for 21 years now. It has been incredible theater, incredible to watch as a Washington Capitals fan, as a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I'm sure the entire hockey world, right? We have relished this rivalry. They have given us so many great games and great memories, both of them, honestly. And they've just been so incredible to watch. And so for the Pittsburgh Penguins fans, they gave a super loud and super long standing ovation to Alex Ovechkin. They actually pretty much exploded when he scored the empty net goal. Everybody was super happy to see that. So just props, shout out to the Penguins faithful in Pittsburgh. I thought that was super classy and a really nice job. Just threw up in my mouth a little bit trying to get that out. But no, seriously, it is true. Great job by the Penguins fans. And so we move to Sunday, right? In Washington, the second half of the back-to-back, and this was an easier game to recap the scoring, at least, just because there wasn't as much scoring, and that is because goaltender Logan Thompson, he posted his second shutout in the last 3 games played for the Washington Capitals as they push for a Stanley Cup playoff spot. Incredible game again by Logan Thompson. 24 saves, blanks the Pens, and the Washington Capitals, they win this one as well, this time by a score of 3-0. Let's get into it, babes. So, first of all, before we get to any scoring, the Washington Capitals, they had the first 10 hits of this game. To say that they were pumped up to play this one would be an understatement, right? And they were imposing their will physically, for sure, on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Captain Alexander Ovechkin at 40 years old, several huge bone-crushing hits. And we have got the OV chants raining down inside of Capital One Arena right away, thanks to those hits. And that would continue, the OV chants would throughout this game. Caps fans were also loudly chanting, "One more year, one more year, one more year." We will get to that. So first period, right? There wasn't any scoring officially, or at least there wasn't any scoring that actually counted at the end of the day. First, the Penguins, they get the first power play of this game. The Washington Capitals, great penalty kill, and they kill it off. Then Sidney Crosby takes the Penguins' first penalty of this game, and what would turn out to be the Penguins' only penalty of this game, by the way. But yeah, Sidney Crosby, he is heading to the penalty box for tripping his nemesis, Martin Fehervary. I find it so funny how much Sidney Crosby hates Marty Fehervary. Like, Fehervary just gets super under that dude's skin. So the Washington Capitals, they appear to have scored the game's first goal on the power play, and it would have been a beautiful primary assist by Alex Ovechkin, by the way, as he found Justin Sordiff in front. But the Penguins, they issue a coach's challenge for offside, and the goal was overturned. So it remains 0-0, and that is how the first period would end. Second period, it is 1-0 Capitals, for real this time, as Trevor Van Riemsdyk finishes a play in front of the net, and everyone's crashing the net here for the Caps. You love to see that. You've got Pierre-Luc Dubois, you've got Connor McMichael, both of whom would get an assist on this goal. So 1-0 Caps, and that is how the second period would end. Third period, less than 5 minutes left, and with the Washington Capitals still holding that 1-0 lead. This is a play that starts all the way back in the Caps' own defensive zone. Great defense here leads to great offense as Connor McMichael and Ryan Leonard, they take off out of their own defensive zone, like I said, on a 2-on-1 together down the ice. So Connor McMichael, he gets this puck initially in the D zone. He passes it up to Ryan Leonard, and then he seriously turns on the Jets to catch up to Ryan Leonard to make this a 2-on-1, does Connor McMichael. And so, yeah, I mean, there's another Penguins defender trying to get back here, but they just had no chance in hell here of catching the two young guys for the Caps, right? Ryan Leonard and Connor McMichael, both of them so fast, so quick out there. And Ryan Leonard, beautiful sauce pass over to Connor McMichael, and McMichael finishes it on the backhand. The beautiful tuck here, 5-hole through Stuart Skinner's legs, like I said, on the backhand here for Connor McMichael for his 13th goal of this season. So beautiful goal here by two young guns again here for the Washington Capitals. This is a massive goal. The insurance marker here puts them up 2-0 late here in the third period. And again, the young kids here for the Caps showing up big time in these must-win games. This is so encouraging. So yeah, Connor McMichael, 13th of the season, from Ryan Leonard on the primary assist and from Martin Ferravari as well. Another young player on the secondary assist, puts the Caps up 2-0. A huge goal, like I said, for the insurance, right? On that 1-goal lead is now a 2-goal lead. You feel a lot better about it. And the Pittsburgh Penguins here now, they're forced to pull their goaltender probably a little bit earlier than they wanted to, and that sets up the Caps for an empty net opportunity. And Alex Ovechkin, the captain, in potentially what could be his last home game here inside of Capital One Arena, right? We don't know yet if he is going to retire at the end of this season or not, but I will have more on that in just a minute, as I think we did get a clue here today. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, the captain, Alex Ovechkin, he gives up this goal here on the empty net to Connor McMichael instead, passes it up to Connor McMichael for Connor McMichael to shoot this one into the empty cage, and that is his second goal of this game for Mikey, and his 14th goal of this season. So Caps up 3-0 on Connor McMichael's second goal of the night, 14th goal of the season. Alex Ovechkin on the primary assist. Martin Ferravari again, another secondary assist here for the young Caps defenseman. Puts the good guys up 3-0, and that is how this game would end, as Logan Thompson, like I said off the top, would give them absolutely nothing. Another shutout here for LT, and so yeah, the final buzzer goes, and that would be your final score, babes. 3-0, the Washington Capitals over the rival Pittsburgh Penguins in this must-win game. Another must-win for the Washington Capitals, and they have been winning almost all of them. The Washington Capitals, they have the second highest points percentage in the entire National Hockey League since the Olympic break. Like I said, they have been winning almost all of these must-win games. They have been hot, and playing very well. And man, do you ever hope that they can sneak in to the Stanley Cup playoffs here with them playing like this, right? With them being this hot, because so often you see these teams that just get hot at exactly the right time of the season, squeak into the playoffs, and then go on an absolute heater in the playoffs as well. So that is what we were hoping for, but they will need a lot of help in order to get it done. Particularly, they need the Philadelphia Flyers to lose. The Flyers, they have 2 games left. The Washington Capitals only have 1 game left, okay? And the Caps currently, they have moved to within just 1 point now of the Philadelphia Flyers for that third place spot in the Metropolitan Division, and by extension, a spot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So they're just 1 point back now. They were like 10 points out of a fucking playoff spot at one point. This is incredible, the comeback that the Washington Capitals have had. Cockroach Caps, as Brandon Duhaime has said so many times, right? They just refuse to die. This would be an incredible feat if they can pull this off. I remember like I don't know exactly what date that was, but it was like a month or two ago, that one of the broadcasts during one of the Capitals games, they had put up a stat on the screen just to kind of show how bleak the Washington Capitals situation was at the time. They were 10 points out, I believe, of a playoff spot at the time. And the stat that the broadcast had put up was to say that at that date of the season, whatever date it was, like I said, I can't remember exactly what date it was, but at whatever date that broadcast was, that the last time that a team had come back from even a 5-point deficit, from being 5 points outside of the playoffs at that point, at that date, at that point in the season, the last time that a team had even come back from 5 points out at that point in the season was 2014. And so the Washington Capitals, they were double as many points out at that point. They were 10 points out, like I said. And yet here they are. They're just a point back. This would be an absolutely incredible feat if they can pull this off. But like I said, they need help, right? They need Philly to lose. It doesn't have to be in regulation for both games. For the Philadelphia Flyers, they can lose, well, they have to lose one in regulation, and then they can lose the other one in overtime or a shootout. That works as well. Because in that scenario, right, they would lose one in regulation, get 0 points there, and then lose one in overtime or the shootout, get 1 point there. But the Washington Capitals, the key here is the Washington Capitals hold the tiebreaker over the Philadelphia Flyers. The Washington Capitals, they actually hold the tiebreaker over almost everyone, as they are one of the top teams in the entire National Hockey League this season in the first tie-breaking category, which is regulation wins. So they need the Philadelphia Flyers to drop their last couple of games here, and at least one of those has to be in regulation. Now, the Philadelphia Flyers, their last 2 games on their schedule are against the Carolina Hurricanes and the Montreal Canadiens. So we're supposed to sit here and expect help from the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know how likely that is, as I think the Carolina Hurricanes would definitely rather not see the Washington Capitals in the playoffs. But let's be honest here, okay? As a hockey fan, as a hockey person, no one wants to see the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round over the Washington Capitals when the matchup is with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay, nobody wants to see the Philadelphia Flyers. Nobody wants to watch the Flyers try and icing their way to a bunch of 1-0 wins, okay? Hockey fans, real hockey fans, I guarantee you, almost all of us, and I'm not just saying this because I am a Capitals fan, almost all hockey fans who I know and who I have talked to, everybody wants to see Alex Ovechkin versus Sidney Crosby in the Stanley Cup playoffs one more time. That series would be electric, just as it has been 4 times already in the past. We need this to happen. We need it. We need it. Carolina, give it to us, okay? Montreal, give it to us, okay? Anyways, just quickly here at the end, as I did touch on it there briefly, as I honestly don't want to get into this too much until we know for sure whether or not Alex Ovechkin is retiring. At that point in time, whenever that happens, whether it is after this season here or whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road from now, we'll see. But the point is, I don't want to get into talking about that and making that video until that actually happens, right? But what I will say is that this game here today, inside of Capital One Arena, the fans, they were treating it as if it might be the last time that they see their captain on their home ice, as of course you would, because they don't know, right? Alex Ovechkin has said that he will not come to a decision one way or another officially until after the season, until in the summer when he has time to really sit down and reflect and think about it, right? But I do think that we got a couple of hints today, and everyone has kind of assumed that he would probably retire at the end of this season, given that his contract is coming to an end here. But 2 things that I found very interesting, okay? First of all, the Pittsburgh Penguins, at the end of this game, at the conclusion of this game in Washington, D.C., the Pittsburgh Penguins, they lined up on the ice there after this game was over. They were all staying on the ice and waiting there, hoping to do a handshake line, right? They all wanted to shake hands with Alex Ovechkin, as is very common when a superstar player who has meant that much to the game of hockey is set to retire, right? We have seen this time and time again, even just in the last couple of seasons here. We all remember Alex Ovechkin gathered his team, called them all back onto the ice to do the handshake line for Marc-Andre Fleury. They did the same thing with Anze Kopitar as well. So a very common thing, and a thing that Alex Ovechkin certainly is familiar with, as he has his teammates do this when a Marc-Andre Fleury, when an Anze Kopitar is set to retire. However, the interesting thing here was that when the Pittsburgh Penguins tried to do this, tried to line up for this handshake line here with Alex Ovechkin, he put a wide grin on his face here, and he was shaking his head no, and he waved them off the ice. That I find very interesting, because I certainly don't think that he would do that if he had come to a decision, or if he was even leaning towards retiring. I kind of think that says he thinks he might stick around for one more year. And then post-game, right? His very good friend, Evgeny Malkin, who plays, of course, for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Evgeny Malkin actually has called Alex Ovechkin, he has referred to him as his best friend, Evgeny Malkin has. So they're very tight. They are very close, right? We all saw the video, I'm sure, of Evgeny Malkin over at Alex Ovechkin's house the night before, playing mini sticks with his children, right? So they're very close. Evgeny Malkin knows Alex Ovechkin very well. And post-game, when Pittsburgh reporters were asking Evgeny Malkin, like, kind of what he thought about, Alex Ovechkin potentially retiring, Evgeny Malkin very confidently told reporters that he does not think at all that Alex Ovechkin is going to retire after this season. He said, and I quote, that he thinks that Alex Ovechkin will be back next year for sure. So make of that what you will, right? But at the very least, it is very, very, very interesting. All right, babes, that is going to be it for this one. Whew. Huge wins here by the Washington Capitals to keep their Stanley Cup playoff hopes alive for another day. They do have, of course, one game left in this regular season. That comes on the road against the Columbus Blue Jackets. That is obviously a humongous game as well. They all have been here recently for the Washington Capitals. And yeah, obviously, for any of these scenarios to work, like with the Philadelphia Flyers losing and things like that, the Washington Capitals, they need to as well win that game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. That goes without saying. So we will be back here on the YouTube channel after that one, of course. Game number 82. What a ride it has been. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate all of you so much. I've been seeing, all of your comments coming in here on the YouTube channel. I love reading those. Keep them coming. I haven't had a chance to reply to very many of them here recently, that's for sure, as I've just been so terribly busy here in my personal life. But I will try, very soon to get back to a lot of those comments, because yeah, I just honestly love chatting hockey with you guys. And yeah, just keep your comments coming. I always love reading those. And like I said, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, babes, honestly. Whether they can pull this out here at the end or not, I think, like I said, if the Washington Capitals, if they win that final game, game number 82 in Columbus, that's pretty much all that we can ask for from this team, right? They have done pretty much all that they can here to claw their way back. Like I said, they were 10 points out. No team that was even 5 points out at that point of the season has come back to make the playoffs since 2014. They were twice as many points out as that. So they have done just a hell of a job here to get themselves back in this thing. Showed a lot of heart, a lot of character. And I certainly think that we can be very, very, very proud of them as Washington Capitals fans. So yeah, we'll see what happens, babes, but it has been fun regardless. And yeah, like I said, thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate all of you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'll, have an even more heartfelt thank you after game number 82, of course, hopefully some playoff games. We will see, but yeah, just really thank you all so much for being here. And until next time, babes, and as always, let's go Caps.